For almost 100 years, humanity had vanished from the eyes of the galaxy. No signals came from Earth. No ships traveled through the trade routes. No messages were sent to the galactic network. It was as if humans had left the universe forever. Some alien empires celebrated the silence. They believed the dangerous species called humans was finally gone. Others felt uneasy. They knew humans never disappeared without a reason. They feared that silence from humans was never a good sign. In the darkest region of space, far away from any star map, something enormous slept inside the shadows. A field of giant metal shapes stretched across thousands of kilometers. They looked like mountains floating in the night. These were not abandoned stations. Not dead asteroids. Not forgotten relics. They were human warships. Titans of steel. Colossus carriers. Warbringer dreadnoughts. Ships so large that even the most advanced alien races could not imagine how they were built. Their engines were cold. Their weapons dark. Their cores silent. But everything about them felt alive. As if they were waiting. Watching. Listening. Their metal bodies reflected faint blue light in the dark emptiness, like sleeping beasts ready to wake if someone stepped too close. For decades, the Tyrant Alliance known as the Dominion Circle searched for signs of humans. The Dominion ruled the galaxy with fear and cruelty. They crushed every rebellion. They silenced every voice. But even they whispered in fear about one thing. The legendary human Warfleet. According to old rumors, humans had built the strongest warships the universe had ever seen. Ships that could bend gravity. Ships that could disappear in one place and appear in another. Ships that could fight alone against entire armadas. The Dominion believed these ships were destroyed long ago. But deep in their hearts, they feared the truth. They feared the humans were hiding, preparing, planning. One quiet cycle, everything changed. A small scout vessel from the Dominion picked up a strange energy spike in the dead zone. At first, they ignored it. Energy spikes were common in unknown sectors. But then the spike grew stronger. And stronger. And stronger. Faster than any natural source could grow. The Dominion captain stared at the readings in disbelief. "This power signature is old," he said, his voice shaking. "But it is also human." His crew froze. Everyone felt cold fear crawling down their spines. If humans were back, then the Dominion's days of ruling the galaxy were close to ending. The captain sent an urgent signal to the Dominion High Council. Moments later, Dominion leaders gathered in their war chamber. A giant hologram of the dead zone appeared above them. The energy spike pulsed like a heartbeat. Slow at first, then faster, then louder. "This cannot be," Emperor Varen whispered. "Humans are extinct." The spike grew again. Its glow lit up the entire chamber. The readings were so high that even their most powerful scanner struggled to measure it. "Activate long-range visuals," one general ordered. A grainy image appeared. At first, nothing was clear. Just darkness and fog. Then slowly, massive shapes came into view. The chamber fell silent. No one breathed. No one moved. There it was. The legend. The fear. The nightmare of every tyrant ruler. The human Warfleet. Dormant. Silent. But very real. And very alive. The Dominion leaders panicked. Some shouted for immediate attack. Some screamed for retreat. Some argued it was only old metal. Useless and dead. But deep inside, every one of them knew the truth. Humans never built anything useless. Humans never left anything unfinished. Suddenly, the energy spike reached critical level. The chamber lights flickered. Every screen glowed brighter than before. And then, the impossible happened. The first human dreadnought opened its eyes. A giant blue core lit up in its center. The second ship followed. Then the third. Then hundreds. Thousands. The darkness of space exploded with blue light as the entire fleet woke from its long sleep. Engines began to hum. Weapons systems activated. Shields powered up like rising storms. The Warfleet did not speak. It did not send warnings. It simply awakened. Calm, powerful, unstoppable. A single message was broadcast across the galaxy. It repeated in every system, on every planet, in every language. Humanity has returned. The Dominion leaders felt their hearts freeze. Every species felt the ground tremble beneath them. The galaxy itself held its breath. Because when humans awaken their Warfleet, it means one thing. Justice is coming. The first strike that shook the galaxy. Panic spread through the Dominion like wildfire. Every capital world, every command center, every war council reacted to the same terrifying message. Humanity has returned. For the tyrants who ruled the galaxy for a century, these words felt like a death sentence. Within hours, the Dominion Circle assembled their invasion fleet. 3 full armadas. More than 50,000 ships. Cruisers, carriers, destroyers, and their elite dreadnought line. The fleet was so large that it covered an entire sector like a burning metal storm. Their orders were simple. Destroy whatever humans had awakened. End the threat before it begins. But fear trembled behind their confidence. If the legends were true, if the human Warfleet was real, then no number of ships would be enough. The invasion armadas jumped into the dead zone. The moment they arrived, silence greeted them. No human messages. No warnings. Just darkness, cold space, and a strange, heavy tension in the air. Scan the sector, the Dominion commander growled. His voice shook, but he tried to hide it. Long-range sensors activated. At first, nothing appeared. Just empty space. Then faint metallic outlines emerged through the static. 1 ship. Then 10. Then hundreds. Then the entire horizon filled with giant shadow shapes. Each shape larger than anything the Dominion fleet had ever faced. The Dominion ships froze. Their pilots stared at the view in horror. It felt like staring at a sleeping god, awake at last. These are human ships, a young officer whispered. His hands trembled on the console. The commander tried to keep control. Open fire, he shouted. Destroy them before they wake. The Dominion fleet launched thousands of missiles, lasers, plasma bursts, and rail cannons. The attacks crossed the void like a rain of fire. The entire sector brightened with deadly light. Explosions echoed across the emptiness. But the human ships did not move. They simply absorbed the attacks like the hits were dust. The Dominion crew stared in shock. These ships were not just strong. They were invincible. They were built to fight galaxies. Then, without warning, the first human ship opened its core. A massive Warbringer dreadnought, larger than any alien supercarrier, came alive with a pulse of bright blue energy. Its weapons systems activated. Its hull glowed like a rising sun. The Dominion commander felt his stomach drop. Retreat, he tried to say. But it was too late. The Warbringer fired a single beam of blue light across the battlefield. Silent, fast, perfect. The beam cut through 5 Dominion cruisers in one sweep. They split apart like paper, burning silently as their remains drifted through space. More human ships activated. Titan-class destroyers rotated into formation. Colossus carriers unfolded their wings. Each one powered up with precision and calm. The humans did not scream. They did not brag. They simply executed their movements like a perfectly trained army awakening from a long sleep. Dominion fleets panicked. Fall back, captains shouted. Retreat, retreat now. But their NAV systems malfunctioned. Their warp drives shut down. Their communications jammed. The humans had trapped them inside a silent cage. The second wave of human attacks began. Hundreds of blue beams sliced through the darkness. Dominion ships exploded without sound. Their commanders felt helpless. For decades they believed they ruled the galaxy. In 1 minute, they understood the truth. They had ruled only because humanity allowed it. As the destruction continued, a strange signal appeared on every Dominion screen. A human message, old but translated into every language. It said one simple line. Do not fear our return, fear what created it. The Dominion commander felt sweat run down his neck. Humans had not awakened for conquest. They had awakened for justice. Revenge. Balance. The galaxy had pushed too far, and humanity had finally answered. Within minutes, the first Dominion armada was destroyed. The second armada tried to flee. Human interceptors caught them instantly. The third armada surrendered without firing a shot. Their ships powered down, drifting helplessly in the dark. Across the galaxy, millions watched the live broadcast. Civilizations that suffered under the Dominion rule cheered with hope. Those who had been enslaved felt their chains loosen. Those who feared the tyrants finally felt courage return. For the first time in a century, the galaxy believed that change was coming. Back in the dead zone, the last Dominion ship sent a final message to their emperor. 6 words. 6 words that terrified every tyrant across the stars. The human Warfleet is unstoppable now. Then the transmission ended. The ship vanished in a burst of blue light. The battlefield fell silent again. But this silence was different. It was not the silence of death. It was the silence of something powerful preparing its next move. Something ancient, disciplined, and full of righteous anger. Humanity had taken the first step. The next would shake the entire galaxy. The tyrants begged for mercy. News of the Dominion's defeat spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. Planets that once feared the tyrants whispered in disbelief. Rebel groups hidden for years peeked out from the shadows. Slave colonies watched the sky with trembling hope. For the first time in a century, the darkness surrounding the galaxy began to crack. But inside the Dominion's central palace, chaos ruled. The High Council chamber echoed with shouting, fear, and desperation. Generals slammed their fists on the holotable. War ministers argued. The Emperor paced back and forth like a trapped beast. How can this be? Emperor Varen roared. Humans vanished 100 years ago. A frightened advisor spoke softly. Maybe they were waiting for us to cross the line. The Emperor glared at him with burning rage. We have not crossed any line, he said. But every commander knew it was a lie. The Dominion had enslaved entire races. Wiped out planets that resisted. Forced children to work in war factories. And destroyed any species that tried to rise. If humans had witnessed all this from the shadows, their awakening was no mystery. The Dominion sent communication signals into the dead zone. Desperate pleas. Fake peace offers. Promises of alliances. But humanity did not respond. Not one word came back. The silence was more terrifying than any threat. Because silence meant humans were not interested in words. Only results. Meanwhile, in the outer sectors, the human fleet moved like a silent storm. Colossus carriers patrolled the borders. Titan destroyers moved with ghost-like precision. Warbringer dreadnoughts glowed with calm blue fire. Every ship advanced with a purpose. But they did not attack random worlds. They did not burn innocent colonies. They went only where tyranny lived. The next target was the Dominion's fortress system. Vraction Prime. A world built on fear. A world where millions of oppressed species worked as slaves under the Dominion lash. Giant plasma cannons protected the orbit. Massive orbital rings carried nuclear shields. The Dominion believed this world was impossible to invade. But when the human fleet arrived, everything changed. The sky over Vraction Prime darkened as thousands of human ships appeared at once. No warning. No negotiation. Only the cold silence of justice descending. Dominion commanders panicked. "Fire everything," they screamed. The fortress unleashed its weapons. Missiles, lasers, plasma spheres, antimatter bursts. The sky turned white with violence. But the attacks passed through the human fleet like waves through stone. Human shields shimmered with glowing strength, absorbing every blast. Not a single human ship fell. The Dominion forces trembled in fear as they watched the impossible. Then, slowly, the human fleet activated its weapons. Not to destroy the planet, but to free it. Precision beams took out only military targets. Slave control towers fell in seconds. War factories shut down. Guard ships exploded without harming nearby colonies. Human ships moved with perfect focus, hitting only the guilty and sparing the innocent. Deep underground, enslaved species stared at the screens in disbelief. They had waited for saviors for decades. And now, salvation had come from the one species the Dominion feared most. The Vraction overlord tried to escape in a private cruiser. But a single human interceptor blocked his path. Its blue lights flashed once. A signal that meant, stop. The overlord froze. No one disobeyed humans anymore. Not after seeing what they had done to the armadas. The human commander appeared on the visual screen. A calm figure with eyes that carried a century of silence. His voice was steady. Clear. Without anger. But full of something far more terrifying. Conviction. "Your rule ends now," the human commander said. "Your crimes end now." The overlord collapsed to his knees. He begged. He cried. He promised wealth, technology, entire planets. Humans remained unmoved. "We do not want your bargains," the commander replied. "We want your victims freed." The human fleet shut down the Dominion systems within minutes. Slave chains unlocked by themselves. Suppression fields collapsed. Millions of beings stepped into sunlight again. Some looked up at the human ships with tears in their eyes. Some knelt. Some whispered prayers of gratitude. But humans refused to be worshipped. They sent a universal message to all freed species. Stand, do not kneel. Rise, do not bow. We are not here to rule you. We are here to free you. Back in the Dominion Palace, the Emperor fell into despair. System after system rebelled. World after world broke free. His empire crumbled faster than he could react. He shouted at his generals. "Send more ships." "We have no more ships," they replied. "Send the dreadnought squadrons." "They are gone." "Then send something, anything." A trembling advisor whispered. "There is nothing left to send." The Emperor stared at the holomap of the galaxy. His empire was shrinking like melting ice. Every lost world carried one message. One terrifying sentence. Humans are coming. And for the first time in his life, Emperor Varen felt fear strong enough to break him. He knew that when the humans reached his throne world, he would not be able to beg his way out. He would face the same justice he had denied to millions. The galaxy watched with wide eyes. The tyrants were falling. Justice was rising. And the human Warfleet had only just begun. The fall of the galactic overlords. The Dominion Palace felt like a dying heart. Lights flickered, alarms screamed, guards ran through the halls with panic in their eyes. Every corner echoed with fear. Every whisper carried the same truth. The humans were coming. Emperor Varen stood at the center of the war chamber, surrounded by his last generals. Most of them were trembling. Some were silent. But all of them carried the same defeated expression. "How many systems have we lost?" the Emperor demanded. His voice cracked like breaking metal. A nervous general answered. 74 systems in 3 days. The Emperor slammed his claws on the holotable. "That is impossible," he growled. But everyone knew it was not. The human warfleet moved with speed no one could match. They struck only military targets. Freed whole planets without harming innocents. And tore down the Dominion's power like it was made of sand. The Emperor looked around with furious disbelief. "Why can't we stop them?" A trembling scientist stepped forward. "We never understood human technology," he whispered. "Everything they built was beyond us." Before more could be said, an alarm blared across the chamber. A deep red light flooded the room. A voice cried out. "Human fleet detected in the capital system." Silence fell like a hammer. The Emperor's skin turned pale purple. "Impossible," he whispered. "They cannot be here already." But they were. Human ships emerged from the darkness like an ocean of blue fire. Colossus carriers took the front line. Titan destroyers formed a perfect circle formation. Warbringer dreadnoughts floated silently in the back, glowing like calm storms waiting to strike. The Dominion's last defense line activated. Thousands of cannons. Orbiting fortresses. Planetary shields. Everything the Dominion built to protect their throne world roared to life. On the surface, citizens watched the sky. They saw alien soldiers scrambling in fear. And then they saw something they never expected. Hope. Because the blue glow of human ships did not feel like a threat. It felt like justice descending. The Dominion fired first. A massive wave of red plasma shot across space. Missiles streaked through the void. Dreadnought cannons released burning light. The sky became a storm of deadly color. But the human fleet remained calm. The first human Titan-class destroyer activated its shield. The blue barrier expanded across the fleet like a glowing ocean. Every Dominion attack hit the shield. Exploded harmlessly. And faded away. Dominion generals gasped. "This should be impossible," one shouted. "We used our strongest weapons," another cried. But nothing worked. Then the humans responded. Not with anger. Not with destruction. But with precision that shook every soul watching. Human ships fired beams that sliced only the Dominion war platforms. They destroyed cannons but left the cities untouched. They disabled dreadnoughts without harming their terrified crews. Every shot was controlled. Every movement was perfect. It was war without cruelty. Power without hatred. Strength without chaos. This was the difference between humans and the tyrants who ruled the galaxy. Unable to stop the advance, the Dominion activated their forbidden weapon. The Starbreaker Supernova Cannon. A weapon designed to destroy an entire fleet in one shot. A weapon they had sworn to never use. A weapon built only to kill humans if they ever returned. The Emperor pressed his trembling hand on the activation panel. "Fire the cannon," he ordered. A blinding light gathered at the cannon's core. Energy built up. Screaming louder. Brighter. Stronger. The Dominion poured everything they had into that blast. The weapon fired. A massive sphere of supernova energy rushed across space. It looked like a sun exploding at impossible speed. It hit the human fleet directly. Everyone watching believed the humans would be erased. Even the Dominion soldiers felt a tiny spark of relief. But then the light cleared. And the human fleet still stood. Untouched. Unshaken. Unmoved. A new system had activated on the lead human dreadnought. The Titan Shield Array. Something the galaxy had never seen before. The shield swallowed the supernova blast like calm water absorbing a falling stone. Dominion generals collapsed to their knees. The Emperor staggered backward. No, this cannot be real, he whispered. But it was real. And the consequences were now his to face. The forbidden weapon overloaded. Its core cracked. Alarms wailed across the Dominion capital. The Starbreaker cannon exploded. A shockwave tore across the sky. The blast destroyed the Dominion fortress stations. Their own weapon turned against them. Their last hope shattered by their own arrogance. The human fleet advanced slowly toward the throne world. They did not fire. They did not threaten. They simply moved with the calm strength of a force that knew victory was already in its hands. On the surface, millions watched in silence. Some cried. Some fell to their knees in relief. Some whispered the same word with trembling lips. Freedom. The Dominion Empire had ruled with iron hands. But human justice was stronger. And now, the tyrant's fall was only moments away. The Emperor looked at the holoscreen in front of him. Human ships hovered above his world like blue stars. He felt his power crumbling. His empire dying. His fear swallowing him whole. He whispered to himself. This is the end. And he was right. The old galaxy was ending. A new one was about to rise. And the humans were leading it forward. The new dawn of the galaxy. The Dominion throne room stood silent. Too silent. Not the silence of peace. But the silence of a collapsing empire taking its final breath. Emperor Varen stared at the holoscreen showing the human fleet above his world. Blue lights glowed like calm stars. Not angry. Not wild. Just powerful. Steady. Unbreakable. His last generals stood behind him, pale and defeated. Some tried to run. Some tried to hide. But they all understood the truth. There was no escape. Not from humans. Not from justice. Not from the consequences of their cruelty. A massive shadow moved across the palace windows. The flagship of the human Warfleet descended slowly. Its hull covered the sky like a floating continent. Citizens across the planet looked up with trembling hearts. Some expected destruction. Some feared their world would burn. But the human ship did not fire. It simply watched. As if studying every soul below. Then, the communication signal activated across the entire planet. A blue hologram appeared in every city, every home, and every war station. It showed the human commander. Calm eyes, steady voice, no hatred. Only purpose. This world is free, the commander said. No more chains, no more fear, no more Dominion cruelty. On the slave districts, millions of beings fell to their knees, crying with relief. For decades, they lived under whips, starvation, and fear. And now, peace had arrived with a single human sentence. The Dominion guards dropped their weapons. They knew resistance was useless. Even if they fought, they would only bring more suffering to the innocent. Inside the throne room, Emperor Varen tried one last attempt. He stepped toward the holoscreen and spoke with trembling pride. Human commander, we can negotiate. We can offer you planets, rare minerals, ancient technology. We can. The commander cut him off instantly. We do not want your offers, he said. We want the galaxy to breathe again. The Emperor felt his own breath freeze. He had dealt with hundreds of species. Some greedy. Some desperate. Some easy to control. But humans were different. They were not here for reward. They were not here for power. They were here because someone had to stop the cruelty he created. Moments later, human strike units landed across the Dominion capital. They sealed military bases. confiscated weapons, and arrested tyrant leaders without harming civilians. Every move was precise, clean, disciplined. The kind of justice the galaxy had not seen in 100 years. When human soldiers entered the throne room, Emperor Varen stepped back. He realized something terrifying. Humans were not burning with rage. They were calm. Too calm. The calm of people who had seen enough suffering and refused to allow more. Emperor Varen, the human officer said, "You are under arrest for crimes against the galaxy." The Emperor fell to his knees. His reign was over. His terror ended where the human footsteps began. Across the galaxy, Dominion banners fell. Chains unlocked. War factories shut down. Slave world celebrated with shaking voices. Children who never saw freedom finally touched the sky without fear. Old rebels cried in disbelief. For they had dreamed of this day but never thought they would live to see it. Humanity began rebuilding what the Dominion destroyed. They did not rule over liberated planets. They did not demand tribute or obedience. They only gave tools, protection, and hope. A new galactic council was formed. Built not on fear but on cooperation. Species once oppressed now had a voice. Nations once enslaved now had a place. At the first meeting of the new council, the human commander spoke again. His words echoed through every system. We did not return for conquest. We returned for balance. For every world that cried for help and was ignored. For every child who lived in chains. For every species the Dominion tried to erase. The galaxy will rise again. The council cheered. Not out of fear. But out of hope. Hope built by humans. Hope protected by the Warfleet that once slept in silence. The human Warfleet slowly powered down. Not as a threat. But as a promise. A silent oath that if darkness returned. If tyrants tried again. Humanity would wake again. In the final scene, the human fleet floated peacefully in the sky of the newly freed capital. Blue lights glowing like guardian stars watching over a reborn galaxy. Children pointed at the ships with bright eyes. Parents smiled with relief. Elders whispered ancient words of gratitude. And far above them all, the human commander looked out from the flagship bridge. Not with pride. Not with arrogance. But with a quiet certainty. The galaxy is safe, he whispered. And this time, we protect it together. The old age of tyranny ended in silence. The new age of unity began in hope. And the humans who vanished for a century became the guardians of a future that would never fear the darkness again.